This is an encore broadcast of a 9 News special presentation.
It stretches like a thread through the city, tying together old and new, romance and reality, and the best and worst of humanity. It is Colfax, called the longest main street in America. For good or bad, it is the thread that holds our town together. Colfax, it's the stuff old folk songs are made of.
I came into this town to find my way around. I ended up getting down on that Colfax Avenue.
It's probably one of the most diverse, democratic streets in Denver, in a good deal of the country. Anything you want, you can find on Colfax.
Cheese omelet, Greek omelet, please.
Have you ever been arrested for prostitution?
Watch out for the muggers.
On your hands out, Connie!
And your neighborhood drug runners.
Driver, put your hands up on the wheels.
Okay.
Can really put you under.
Man down.
Stand on Colfax Avenue.
Drugs going on a lot of prostitution going on, a lot of pimps, a lot of pushing, a lot of verbal taunting, cuss words, all kinds of things. I mean, it's a lot of things that is disrespectful, but that's the way it is on Colfax every day.
It sounds good to my friend. Thank you.
Well, there's a place for wine, and a place for song, and a place for those who have just gone wrong. What you need, it don't take too long. It's on that Colfax Avenue.
Can you have your spare change, bud? Maybe.
Colfax, as I said, is widely recognized as one of Denver's most important streets. Everybody has an idea of it. And I think right now that image suffers a bit. If you can turn that around, you've really done an awful lot. A lot of the problems are more are more problems of perception than they are reality.
Colfax Avenue.
On Colfax, a 9 News special presentation with Gary Shapiro.
Over the next hour, we're going to explore this colorful avenue, meet some of the people who live, work, or just hang out on Colfax. We'll see the seedy side and take a close-up look at the crime. And we'll find out what's being done about it and learn about plans to revitalize the avenue. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll also meet some unforgettable characters that give Colfax a certain sort of charm. There really is no other place in the city like it. Colfax is the longest commercial street in America. It runs for more than 26 miles from I-70 in the east to I-70 in the west. And along the way, it passes through Aurora, Denver, and Lakewood. Its history is rich and its character complex. It's always been that way on Colfax. For more than 100 years, it's been the Main Street. It's Denver's geographical center, its ideological heart and soul. Colfax is an ever-changing reflection of humanity, and nobody knows that better than Joe Jackson.
My philosophy, Colfax is like a circus. As long as you like going to a circus, every day is different. You never see the same clowns every day. You always something new. And you can enjoy it.
Joe's been driving a bus down Colfax for years. He's seen it all, from east to west.
Everything that changed on Colfax. It's changed daily. The buildings, the shops. One day something's up, the next day it's gone. Then the next day something else is in its place.
And just like Joe's bus, Colfax keeps rolling along. Colfax used to be the ritzy place to live and work. It was once lined by mansions. This one belonged to millionaire Lawrence Phipps. The street's named for Schuyler Colfax, a congressman from Indiana. He vacationed here and loved it, so he helped Colorado become a territory in 1865. Later, like his namesake street, Schuyler Colfax ran into some trouble.
He was caught accepting bribes to give land grants to the Union Pacific Railroad. And that was after he had been made vice president under Ulysses S. Grant. So long before Spiro Agnew, we had a vice president forced to resign in a scandal. And sometimes I wonder if the scandalous behavior on Colfax Avenue commemorates Schuyler Colfax's descent.
I can remember where Colfax you had
Joe says Colfax really is like life. It's full of all kinds of people.
then you meet real good people sometimes. And then you meet the real not so good people sometimes.
The good people of Colorado built the state capitol on Colfax. To this day, the shiny gold dome is a landmark that recalls lots of politics, good and bad.
And in the early days, voters were rewarded. If you voted for the right man, you got a drink. And then you could approach that fellow and say, you know, that tasted good. Could I have another drink? And you say, sure, would you be willing to vote again? And I found one fellow in the old Rocky Mountain News, the old newspapers here, he voted 32 times one election day. That's 32 drinks.
The other famous historic landmark on Colfax is, of course, the cathedral. It was built mostly by wealthy Catholics with names like Bonfils and Molly Brown. It's modeled after a Gothic cathedral in France, and its magnificent stained glass windows are from the Royal Bavarian Glass Works in Munich. They are irreplaceable. The factory was destroyed during the war.
On East Colfax, which has not always been a saintly street, you have the 7 musical angels in that glorious rose window. Those angels, I think, often blush or often look away from East Colfax Avenue looking towards that high altar.
Yep, sure is a lot of history on Colfax. You can see it from Joe's bus, and not just on East Colfax.
Well, West Colfax is almost a complete change over East Colfax. It's like going from a city to the country.
On West Colfax near Sims, a solemn monument to the city's varied past. Buried on a hillside, Jewish immigrants who died from tuberculosis. From places like New York and Ohio, they came to Denver seeking treatment, searching for hope. They never found it. Many of the TB sufferers moved to Denver to seek treatment here. It is now the AMC Cancer Research Center. At the turn of the century, it was the Jewish Consumptives Relief Society, or JCRS.
Patients used to be wheeled out on the porches for heliotherapy, sun therapy as it was called, in the hopes that that would help cure their TB.
Many lived in these small cottages, then called tents. At JCRS, it was more like a hotel than a hospital. The sun shone into the rooms and onto their faces. Today, the rooms are still there, but the faces are long gone. Gone, but still remembered. Yes, on West Colfax today, reminders of the old Jewish community that flourished after the turn of the century. It was quite a time.
It was filled with Jewish butcher shops, delicatessens, Jewish bakeries, and even a Yiddish theater. The Colfax Viaduct in the early years was nicknamed the Jewish Passover because obviously the Jews in the area had to cross over to get into the downtown area.
Yes, from his bus, Joe Jackson sees all sides of Colfax. He says it keeps him young. He wouldn't have it any other way.
Like I said, they got your extremes one way or your extremes the other. All of us on Colfax.
It's a Colfax. Fitzsimmons Army Medical Center on East Colfax was founded in 1918.
Every morning for nearly 76 years, a flag has been raised at sunrise at Fitzsimmons. Thousands of veterans, including General Dwight Eisenhower, have been treated here. They served in the war to end all wars, and the ones that followed that. The true war heroes came to Fitzsimmons. Hopefully folks will remember that. It's early in the morning. As the sun rises and the mood fades, things are peaceful. About the only sound is from the sprinklers. They spray water that turns dry land into crops, water that makes crops into food, and food into money. It's a cycle that's been played out for years on East Colfax. Early in the morning, it's peaceful. Just the sound of the sprinklers and the traffic from the city next door. Harold Atterbury farms 2,000 acres near East Colfax. He's 67 now and has been at it 43 years. He loves the life, even taking care of the hogs.
Yeah, they like to be soaked down. Why am I still farming? Well, that's all I know. And as long as I feel good and can do it, I'll probably continue, you know what I mean? Why give up and sit down and do nothing, you know?
Oh, things have changed since Harold started farming. Instead of riding a horse, he sits atop the saddle of his all-terrain vehicle. And there are a lot of other changes. Aurora has always been there, but it was a lot different back when.
The Aurora Mall, it wasn't there. I used to ride my horse right where the Aurora Mall is and go straight up through there to the little one-room school.
Harold says over the years, he's watched the city and the farmland merge into one. He knows it's progress, but it doesn't mean he's got to like it.
It's just sad to see concrete go on good productive land, you know what I mean? That's the bad part.
But Harold tries not to think about that. He does his chores, he checks on those irrigation sprinklers. Water has always been the lifeline out here, but there's getting to be less and less.
Now it's just houses with a patch of grass that takes a lot of water to keep it pretty, you know what I mean?
He knows the time may come when his farmland sprouts houses instead of crops, when the city overtakes the country, and the lifestyle here will be lost forever. But until that day comes, Harold Atterbury will just keep farming.
You do what you do, it gets in your blood, and I like what I do. I enjoy raising hogs. It's just my life. That's all I know.
Just up the road from Harold's farm, life is as different as it gets. Colfax has always been a high crime area, but this part of Aurora, it's one of the worst parts. The city's tried to clean it up, the cops try to keep up, but some days it's impossible. Colfax and crime seem to go together. It's just the facts.
2309. Yeah, let's try it a little bit. I'm at Yosemite, in fact, going eastbound now. Let's see what's out and about a little bit.
You ever been arrested for prostitution?
On Colfax, finding crime is not a problem.
I need you to check IDs.
On Fax, figuring out how to stop it is.
That's them right there. Got the bus signal. Made the deal. We're making an arrest.
There you go.
You know, I don't think it'll ever be gone. There's always people willing to sell sex, and there's always people willing to buy sex.
On the Fax, stopping crime falls on their shoulders. They deal with the prostitutes, drugs, assaults, robberies, murders, you name it. But they don't see it as enforcing laws. They see it as helping people.
And you don't need to do this to get money for food. We'll help you with that. We've got it. We've got that.
All right? We have that, all right? You come down and contact any officer down there and say you need to go to the food bank. You need food. You need to eat. You don't ever have to do this for that.
Do you have
I still see the hookers as victims. They've been victimized all their life. In a way, they're a predator, but there's still that human side that says, man, this gal's had it rough. and she's got some rough days ahead of her still.
10890 Colfax, room number 25.
I almost guarantee the prostitution here, if we were able to trace it, she'd be picked up by the customer, the John. She would get her money or have the John take her to the crack house. One other way, she's going to head to the crack house. Just tonight we made 2 buys out of here, undercover buys.
On the Fax, crime has a way of crossing paths. This time the path leads to a crack house a block away.
Brief talking, some hand movements, and from my vantage point, I couldn't tell you what was exchanged, although I could presume what was exchanged. They will sell the typical amount, which is $20 for a rock.
On the Fax, the path of crime is often worn to the same destination. Police will be back here later.
Watch your head, partner.
On the Fax, sometimes sending people to jail is the answer.
7020.
This is great. Last week I had felony arrest 3 out of the 4 nights.
Being careful is always the rule.
You and 302 for a domestic.
302, it looks like you ran through a yard behind 1960. Dallas.
Hey, stop right there!
You better stop, buddy!
Get down! Right fucking now! Put your hands out in front of you! Get out! Put your hands out in front of you! Put your hands out in front of you!
You can't ever let your guard down, up here particularly, because that's the time. I mean, you know, it could be that nothing would ever happen, but it could be then again that you let your guard down and something does happen. What? 303, we've got him in the back.
What happens this time is the victim of domestic abuse refuses to press charges. On the Fax, it's hard to fight crime without some help.
What's frustrating is that you know he's going to go back and he's probably going to eventually really hurt her or one of the kids, and there's nothing that we can do about it because she was letting it happen. And you see it over and over again. 303, Adam, this will be a domestic. If you can, send another car up.
We're just going to cuff this guy right up and do what we got to do to get him out of there. This guy, last time we came up here, this guy wanted to fight.
It's the same story on the Fax, domestic violence, except this time the suspect's gone.
And then the little baby in there is 9 months old. The mom had 1 ring for the bottle for the nipple, and the father knocked that out of her hand, so that was gone.
Yeah, 504 trying to clear. Are you going to be out there?
Thank you. We had a domestic down here, and the man knocked the nipple out of the woman's hand, and we can't find it. I think you get to the point in a police career where you realize that you can only handle what's right in front of you. There. Want that bottle? Want that bottle? And so you deal with what's right in front of you and then move on to the next. Okay, there you go.
Just relax, everything will be okay. Just relax.
So this night, the suspect, who came back, will also be moving on to jail and off the Fax.
The guy doesn't have anything on him once the money fronted. Okay, he's gonna go eastbound on the Fax. Okay, if you lose the eyeball, you gotta let us know, because he has the bad guy with him.
The path on Colfax is ready to cross again, back to the crack house.
Northbound Chester from the back.
Oh, okay, well, he's coming back. He's back in the car. Back in the car. Hey. How'd you make out, all right?
No bus signal yet, you're just talking about it. He wants him to drive somewhere before he shows it. You can never fully eliminate drugs either, just like you can never eliminate prostitution. How are you going to eliminate drugs? But we keep plugging away.
You're about to get me busted, man.
Make the stop. Sounds like his little tab.
On the Fax, crime is about good guys and bad guys, suspects and victims.
Okay. Hands up on the wheel. Driver, put your hands up on the wheel.
Okay.
Put it simply, crime is about the people who live and work on the Fax.
You know, I live here in Aurora. This is my town. You know, I'm very possessive of the fact I live here. So I am possessive. I'll take care of the problem. If I displace them somewhere else, hey, that's fine. If they want to move on, hey, that's fine. If they want to get out of the business, fine. If they want to go to prison, that's fine. You know, I'll keep up the pressure.
303 Adams clear.
$4 there.
It isn't always so bad on Colfax and Aurora. A lot of good things happen here. The farmers market, for example.
This farmers market is an attempt to bring people down to downtown Aurora and on Colfax and have something positive going on and a positive attitude and image.
I came all the way to Estes Park to buy some.
It's just one way of revitalizing the Old Town area, of taking it back from the cops and robbers. Planners have spiffied up the avenue with trees and other streetscaping. Those utility poles and power lines will be gone someday. They're going underground. And the bars on the windows of the businesses, they're being replaced by unbreakable glass. The city is helping to pay for it.
And the bars also give the area a war zone look. But once you take those bars down, you put this unbreakable glass in, people see something new, they see something fresh, and they don't see the negative part, they don't see the bars.
Changing the image, it's all part of the scheme. Some residents say it's working, others aren't so sure.
Well, we've been here for 38 years, bought in 1957. We like it here. Yeah. And they are making some improvements, it's doing better.
I don't like some of the crowd down here that hangs out. I don't think it's safe for the kids, so I pretty much don't, I come in here, do what I got to do, and then I leave.
I think eventually it's gonna be a nice little place again.
Yes, it will take time, hard work, and money. The farmers market is a start. Through the use of low-interest loans and continued renovation, planners think Aurora will turn around. But they say you've got to start somewhere.
Another Colfax. Dutch Boy Donuts on East Colfax is an institution. Folks have been getting their donuts and coffee here for 47 years.
You got to be up pretty early in the morning to keep up with Tom and Kelly Donahue. They own Dutch Boy Donuts and start making them while most of the world sleeps. They stock their cases with all kinds of donuts, from glazed to their famous applesauce. This little place has been a favorite neighborhood meeting spot since it opened back in 1947.
Right. What you gonna have today?
A plain one.
One plain one, okay.
Before he became a donut maker, Tom was a nuclear chemist at Rocky Flats. He quit that job to pursue a quieter life, but he says there are still some similarities.
There's so many things that spill over, so much of the quality control aspect, so much of the attention to detail that you need, and I don't really find that it's that big a difference. The end product's a little easier to swallow. But
Yep, and by sunup, the day is well underway at Dutch Boy Donuts.
You have a good one today.
One of the sweeter stops on Colfax. Sometimes on Colfax or one of the alleys just off the avenue, you might see kids with street names like Psycho, Clover, or Cat Eyes. They wake up in an abandoned building down by the tracks, and they hang out here because they don't have anywhere else to go. They're homeless. They're street kids.
This is the silos, and this is our home.
These kids know the other side, the side when your stomach's hungry.
Basically, out here, everybody goes by a street name. My name is Bern. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'll be 15. There's a few of us here that are runaways, and there's a few that have just been kicked out.
Camping in the city, basically.
I wake up and I go, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry. Where am I gonna eat? Where am I gonna drink? What am I gonna do today?
Good morning. The first thing that goes through my head when I wake up is normally smoke a cigarette. But after that, it's more or less trying to figure out how I'm gonna eat today. Here, dude, snag one. More or less, it's kind of like what's yours is mine kind of deal.
Got that dollar.
People, shut up! It's my weed. I'm smoking on the holy room.
A lot of kids like to hide their miseries and drugs.
It just relaxes us, keeps us off reality.
Take a turn, burn up. Have you smoked him up yet?
It's the first smile I have on my face in 2 months.
Good hit.
We're given names because of the way we are. Like him, he's psycho because he's psychotic sometimes. Me, the reason why they call me Dragon is because, I look like one. That's the only way we can protect ourselves and who we are.
We must have a pretty dull life, dude, getting all happy over a case of water.
Hello down there. We goof around a lot.
Let's just jump on one of the cars real quick.
Making life as good as possible for how bad it is.
Just talk in general about the kids that you see.
on the street. Is it something they're happy with?
Most of them, yeah.
They're happy?
Yeah.
Usually every day around lunchtime, we make our way up Colfax to get something to eat.
They're not thinking about where I'm going to college, but they're thinking more about how I'm going to eat today, where I'm going to go and hang out in order to get some food, or where I might panhandle today. Or
Like me, I'm playing it day by day. I don't know what I'm doing now, but walking to the peak for lunch.
And it's really a kind of here and now existence as opposed to looking out for their future.
Excuse me, can I have 4 quarters, please, for $1? I'm Clover, 17 years old. I've been living on the streets for about 2.5 months now. When I'm walking on Colfax, I see a lot of things that I wish I couldn't see. Let's see what I can do here about change. You got your drug users. Do you have any spare change? They just don't care.
Yeah,
and then you have your runaways. The kids that think they have it bad off at home, but they really don't.
Just couldn't comprehend.
The kids that can possibly make it, but they choose not to. And then you get the throwaways, which are kids that basically their parents don't want them home. They don't want anything to do with them. I'm one of them. Jingle, 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 love the sound of money. It's hard. It's hard because you got a label. You're homeless. 50, 65. Thank you very much. That made my lunch. Yeah, I sleep in the silos and wherever I can basically sleep. $2, I'm rich. Ew! People just wear you out sometimes. The fact that you know people has changed. I've been walking around in them big old nice suits and they can't even spare $1. Do you have any spare change?
Yeah, I have all my money for the bus.
It's kind of annoying. Just gave it away. Yeah. Okay, that's Colfax for you. Actually, I kind of find it as a game. Yep, headed down to see let's see how much money I can smage from rich people. Yeah, find out who's stingy and who's not.
Abandoned, all alone.
By now, we've had our fun.
Forgotten.
Smoked our weed.
It's like our kids on the streets, right here on Colfax.
So we're gonna go to the 8:30 feeding and basically take care of the munchies.
How you doing, friend? Okay?
How you doing?
Don't be bashful. Come on up here. Hey, I got to tell you, we're the Cadillac of the soup lines. I want to tell you, got burritos, they got donuts, they got fruit. I'm Pastor Fritz. They call me Pastor Jalapeno on the street. I've been doing this on this corner for about 5 years now, and we do it 7 nights a week, 365 nights a year, and somebody's got to do it. They do second shift, Pam. We just work Colfax. It seems like that's where the down and out are at, and that's where we want to be.
I wish they could get a taste of just one day on the streets.
My name is Rick, and I'm with a program called Stand Up for Kids, and
It's sour, but sometimes it's sweet.
we're an all-volunteer program that just works with homeless and street kids.
It's just a real different life.
Kids aren't living on the streets or dying on the streets, literally.
And everybody told me it's rough, and I found out it is rough, but I'm still gonna live it out.
Everybody get some shoes? Kids are dying in every major city. Colfax Avenue is just one more place, one more city. But there's a lot we can do here to help these kids.
You know I'm gonna be 15 tomorrow?
15 tomorrow. Tomorrow's your birthday, huh?
Yep, tomorrow.
I've been walking the streets 6 years. I never, ever in all that time met a kid who wanted to live on the streets, despite what all these kids are saying. You won't make it out here. You know, some of them have, a lot of them have not. Don't be one that hasn't.
Are we ready to leave?
You know, I guess the hardest thing is to say goodbye to kids, because you never know if you're going to see them again.
I wish I could go home, but I really can't.
He tells me his birthday's next week, he's going to be 15. Is he going to die? Maybe.
It's not really totally cool to be homeless. Where am I gonna get clean? Where am I gonna get new clothes? You know, where am I going?
So let me ride along the Texas trail out on the plains.
In the 1930s, kids flocked to the Bluebird Theater on Colfax to see the Westerns. Then it became a porn theater, then an empty building. Now, with the help of city incentives, it's being restored.
People like the folks who are restoring the theater here, taking back the facade to its original condition, and streetscape improvements. It's not going to be perfect, but I think here and there you're going to see some good things.
Colfax is like the small-town Main Street that died and is now coming back. You can see it everywhere, especially around the Westland Mall in Lakewood. Denver, Aurora, and Lakewood have hired a Washington, D.C. group called the National Main Street Center to come up with a restoration plan.
The conventional solutions don't work on a corridor that long. So the three cities need to work together to look at some creative solutions to how do we create a positive image in people's minds.
To do that, planners are considering turning Colfax into a giant public art project, holding a huge street festival or even a Colfax marathon. They say that, coupled with conventional approaches, should help build a better Colfax.
It's going to be up to the individual organizations, individual communities, but I think providing some incentive a little bit goes a long way. You see something like this happen that might not have otherwise occurred.
Here's a Colfax. Two young musicians in the 60s got their start at the old Satire Lounge on Colfax, Judy Collins and Bob Dylan.
Once upon a time you dressed so fine, through the bump.
These days, most of the music on Colfax comes from the renovated Ogden Theater. Yep, that's Ziggy Marley playing the Ogden. On any given night, you can hear everything from reggae to rock here. And some of the best jazz in Denver can be found at the historic York Street Cafe. Cool jazz and a hot night on Colfax. It only seems fitting.
Rock and roll.
Colfax has the name has a bad reputation. But I think if most people came down here and actually lived in this area, they'd realize that it's really not as bad as people make it out to be.
Well, the definition of neighborhood in itself is a group of people living in a certain district. And it doesn't say anything about the architecture. It says people. And people interacting with each other, getting to know each other, enjoying life together. That's what a neighborhood's all about. Every time the TV camera comes in here, I'm doing flat tops. Well, I think the barber shops are the glue that holds neighborhoods together. For the most part, people that come in here are either from the neighborhood or they move out of the neighborhood and they keep coming back here to get their hair cut. I think they kind of miss the neighborhood. I think that's why they come back. It couldn't be for the haircuts. No, I think there's a misconception that Colfax is threatening, and there's nothing threatening about it. Every neighborhood in the country has the same problems. It's not just Capitol Hill. But you can't let problems get you down or put you out of business. Problems can be overcome. Thanks a lot. Thank you. This window here, you can look out here while you get your hair cut and watch life go by.
Traffic congestion, traffic noise, pollution, excitement. There's always something exciting going on in our neighborhood. It's not tranquil. If you want tranquility, you better go elsewhere.
This is the Holiday Chalet Hotel. A lot of people say that we're just kind of an oasis. Well, what do you think? Is this fun?
Thank you for asking me, sweetheart.
Oh, I thought you'd enjoy it. Well, come have some iced tea. We are much closer. We're much more of a family. Well, we're all neighbors. And we all live within about 2 or 3 blocks of each other. And we get together periodically and discuss neighborhood issues, and we have potlucks and ice cream socials and just, do what neighbors do.
It's just too much overreaction to fear. Fear is leading people right by the nose, right out to the suburbs where they think they're going to be safe, and they're not. They're not any more safe there than they are anywhere.
I've always said that our neighborhood is the most compassionate neighborhood in the state.
It's delightful. It absolutely is one of the most interesting places in Denver. I cannot imagine a more fascinating place to be.
I've been cutting this guy's father's hair for almost 40 years. I took up barbering to make a living. Paint is a hobby. Well, I paint just about everything. I have a little project here on my wall that I did about 5 years ago that are the street people on East Colfax. Street people, by and large, are part of the neighborhood, and as soon as people realize that, I think we'll all be better off.
I've lived a good lifetime on this street. I'm not an old tramp. I don't try to be, but if I can help you, I damn sure am not gonna hurt you.
And Bobby's part of this neighborhood. I think he's as familiar a face on the neighborhood as I am. I've been here 40 years.
Arctic lights have their secret nights, make your blood run cold. I do love good poetry.
I mean, the people are different, the businesses are different, but we still have that fiber. We still are doing for each other. We're still sharing with each other. We're still looking after each other. And I think that that is a tremendous compliment to this. It's remained a neighborhood. We have a busy street, but it's remained a neighborhood.
Drove by this morning and decided to stop in and have a little breakfast.
Back there we have the steak and eggs. We also have biscuits and gravy, or the buckaroo, which is 2 pancakes, 2 eggs, or 2 bacon.
We've been here 37 years.
I wouldn't be surprised if I haven't been here about as long as I have.
My name is Marty.
Ray, Ross?
Oh, I'm Charlotte.
He's the old man.
42 years, that's how long I've been waiting tables. My grandfather fought in the Civil War.
This other fellow's Norm down here.
Y'all say Norm when he comes in the morning?
We say a lot of things to him.
Oh, it's pleasant, and I can hide in the corner and listen to all the gripes of the people. And
eavesdropping, huh?
The cross-section of America shows up here.
I guess you could call it family. We all know each other pretty well.
8 to 8:30 every morning. If you're not here, they call you, want to know what's the matter.
More coffee, honey? Sure.
we do brew one of the best cups of coffee in town.
Hot, good tasting, get all you want.
If you don't have your wake-up juice, you're in trouble. Who's ready? Ready?
Hell, I'm always ready. Coffee, too.
And you, Rob?
Steak and eggs.
How do you want your steak?
Well done.
Your eggs?
Scrambled.
Why do wheat toast?
White.
Yeah, it gets hectic at times.
Underlay.
Busy. Real busy.
Shelly, please. Steak and eggs. $2.99. We sell about 1,200 a week.
We get so many people in here sometimes that your head's going like a buzzsaw, trying to figure out which turn to make next.
A certain time in the morning, you couldn't find a spot to sit down here.
This is the fastest place I ever worked.
We got a uniqueness about the diner. I mean, it ain't an everyday thing.
We just really enjoy it. And this is one of our day starters, you might say.
And 20 is your change, hon. Yeah, I like it. That's why I'm still here. You have a nice day now and come see us again.
If you need to eat, well, just go to Pete's.
It's a Colfax. There are hundreds of restaurants on Colfax, from fast food to Ethiopian cuisine.
You can't hardly go a block on Colfax without running into a restaurant. Mexican, Korean, sports bars, fast food, you name it, they've got it. And there's Pete's Kitchen on the hill. It's been a neighborhood favorite for years. Don Elliott and his family eat at Pete's a lot. They know a lot about eating on Colfax, too. They've eaten at every restaurant on the street from Broadway to Colorado Boulevard. 55 in all.
Some are great. You have great restaurants like the Normandy, Sushi Heights, and the Ethiopian restaurants. And then you have a lot of just neighborhood restaurants with heroes or burgers or salads. And then there are just a handful where we thought the cooks ought to be fired. But, you know, you'd find those anywhere.
Possibly the most famous restaurant in Denver is on Colfax, Casa Bonita. Where else can you snack on a burrito and watch a cliff diver right in the middle of a mall? Only on Colfax. On Colfax, the future is looking brighter. Neighborhood organizations like Colfax on the Hill are working hard to clean the place up.
We've started to improve the area by getting rid of the graffiti. We've tried to put banners up to distinguish the area. We've tried to put flowers up in the area, and all of this is helping.
But on Colfax, not everyone wants things to change a lot. And not everyone likes Colfax on the Hill.
Yes, it's wonderful to go in and to renovate, restore some of the beautiful old buildings on the street, but you have to do it as part of what the neighborhood is about, what it can sustain itself, trying to make the area something far different than it actually is.
On Colfax, change will come slowly, but most are convinced it'll come.
The corridor is 26 miles long, and it's not going to be revitalized all at once overnight. I think everyone recognizes that. Historically, it developed piece by piece, and I think it's likely to be renewed that way too.
On Colfax, the next decade will bring new business, new buildings, and new hope. It'll also challenge us with old problems and difficult solutions. That's just the way things are on Colfax. You know, Colfax and cars just seem to go together. Americans have had a love affair with the automobile for years, and nowhere is that more apparent than here on Colfax Avenue.
Got a brand new car, and I like to drive real hard.
I think it's worth the money. Car's worth the money.
I think that Colfax and Broadway were the first original places to shop for cars.
This has just been the car strip. There's new cars, there's used cars, there's trucks, there's boats, there's RVs, there's everything on West Colfax that a person can find.
This is a pretty nice little car. It's 87. The air even blows cold in this thing. AM/FM cassette, sunroof. If you take care of it, it'll last you a while. Nice.
No, low-key. Very casual.
Like if somebody says, I gotta go ask my wife, then I'll just say, well, maybe I'll have to call my wife to sell you this car.
No high pressure, none of that. We don't have time for that.
But there's no warranties of any kind. Whoops, $100 off.
Starting at about $30,000 up to $130,000. Pretty much everything that's manufactured today is really represented on West Colfax in some manner, on Colfax itself for sure. Certainly in the 40 years I've been in this business, it's changed a lot, and the population has changed, and it's just unbelievable what's going on.
But you stay.
But we stay, and we love it.
Is it going to run tomorrow? There's a good chance it will, there's a good chance it won't, Again, it's not perfect, it's a $1,500 car. It's what you get for $1,500 out in West Colfax in Denver, huh?
It's just kind of a tradition. I don't think it's ever going to change on Colfax.
A driver in the dark.
40 years ago, if you drove from the East Coast to the West Coast on Highway 40, you probably stayed at a motel on Colfax.
They had the craziest names: the Bugs Bunny Motel, the Pig and Whistle. They used to be the places to stay when driving through Denver.
it had about 30 or 40 years of being the east-west highway, the route through Denver. And of course, all of these motels grew up, and they all have, you know, their little motor courts and all sorts of things. They're very quaint now, but that was the early way to deal with the automobile and the great deal of tourist traffic that came through Denver in those days.
Now many of the motels are run down or have been made into apartments or nursing homes. Some breed crime and are well known to local prostitutes, but others still serve the traveling public just like they've done for 40 years. We hope you've enjoyed our short look at the longest Main Street. Colfax is a lot of things to a lot of people, but it's one thing to everyone, a lesson in life. It's also home to one of the largest collections of vintage neon in the country. That's why we're going to close with a look at the neon lights on Colfax. Thanks for joining us.